Hey guys, what's up? Russell Babbitt here. This is, as far as I can tell, episode number 8. And today I'm going to speak to you about some troubling news that Andrew Cuomo, first of all, he was saying that New York will not be quarantined, that he has no desire to quarantine any city. But then he goes on to speak about the troubling, maybe the lack of hospital beds. And it's kind of a mixed message here, but then he came out 2 days ago and he told us that he wants the feds to help um, quarantine New York State. And I mean, any of us can see that if this interstate travel restrictions go in, it probably won't be too long before it's incredibly hard to get in between the cities. So this came out this morning, uh, 35 minutes ago or something. So Governor Cuomo reassured New York City residents Tuesday that there were no plans to place the five boroughs and its 8.5 million residents under quarantine. Rumors are part of the fear, the anxiety, Cuomo said at his daily briefing on the coronavirus. People spread rumors. Maybe we're going to quarantine New York City. That is not true. I have no interest whatsoever and no plan whatsoever to quarantine any city. The governor's update indicated a continued uptick of positive cases in the state, with 1,374 positive cases confirmed in the state, 432 new patients identified, and 12 deaths. In New York City, there were 644 coronavirus cases, with 187 new ones confirmed. The governor said that 264 of the patients were hospitalized and that just over 10,000 New Yorkers were tested thus far. New York suffered more coronavirus cases so far than any other state, with the New Rochelle cluster boosting its numbers. The real issue going forward will likely be the lack of hospital beds statewide to handle the expected influx as tens of thousands of newly infected New Yorkers requiring hospitalization statewide. There are 53,000 hospital beds, including 3,000 intensive care unit beds. Officials predict that the state could need as many as 110,000 hospital beds within 45 days, including a high-end estimate of 37,000 ICU beds, he said. That, my friends, is the problem, he said. The governor said state officials were working with hospitals statewide about expanding their current capacity if the State Department of Health waives certain rules. Now we're going to go take a look at a video that Static in the Attic did. He's a great YouTube channel, talks a lot about fake history and mud floods and War of 1812. But we're going to check out what Andrew Cuomo has to say regarding the federal government and what he wants them to do.
What's up, guys? Static in the Attic. I'm sitting here waiting on a shower to open up at a truck stop. And I wanted to tell you guys that interstate travel is going to be shut down. That's all there is to it. They're already selling martial law like it's hotcakes here. Just listen to what is really being said by Cuomo here. More federal government. The only solution is for the federal government to override all of the state's authorities. They're doing away with the states. Guys, there's so much going on right now. They're selling martial law as the only solution to the crisis that they created, guys. They made the executive order and put all of this into play back in September of last year.
The federal government has to provide help and guidance to states on what to do and when to do it. This can't be a national policy of every state does its own thing. You can't have a patchwork quilt of policies. New York State.
He straight up just said states can't make their own decisions. The federal government has to be in charge, and you guys have to authorize it.
Okay, New Jersey doesn't. What did I do? I just sent thousands of vehicles over to New Jersey, flooding New Jersey stores. New Jersey closes stores, and I don't. What did they do? They just sent thousands of New Jersey people to shop in New York and then go back to New Jersey. You cannot do this ad hoc, one state at a time.
I'm telling you guys, there is a very high likelihood that interstate travel will be shut down.
The Chinese government came in and said, we're going to do this, we're going to nationalize it. South Korea, the same thing. You can't leave it to the states. I can't do it. I do not have the resources or the capacity. And by the way, I'm an aggressive governor.
No, you're a sellout puppet.
I push very hard. But there's no way that we could manage this undertaking. The Army Corps of Engineers, I used to be in the federal government. I've worked with them. They're amazing. Their capacity is amazing. And what better time to use those resources than saying, let's get to work, let's retrofit buildings, let's purchase the equipment, yes, let's use that massive logistical machine of the middle.
So look, guys, I was just throwing this together real quick. I'll leave a link to the full press conference that he gave. Make no mistake about it. He is garnering support for active military duty to be the ones that handle this. If you listen through the whole video there, he is saying that the National Guard needs to come in, build hospitals, be taking care of the roadways, everything. So you guys are smart out there. I don't need to explain this to you. I just wanted to bring your attention to this. This is what's going on right now. And it's a powder keg. It's a ticking time bomb of an orchestrated event that they are pulling off. And guys, this is just so criminal. This is treason at the highest level. I hope you guys understand that. Anyway, static out.
Okay, guys. Let's see if we can go back to that so that we can put my head over this guy. So what I hear there,
What's up, guys? Static in the attic.
I'm basically hearing that he's asking the federal government to come in and impose regulations to use their massive military arm and to use all these federal organizations to supersede states' rights, to supersede states' ability maybe to legislate for themselves. He's started it out by saying the federal government needs to do this. We can't have a patchwork of laws. Now, I thought that what the United States was about was being united under a patchwork of laws where states' rights were respected and where the federal government just didn't have the legislative capacity to come in and tell us what the hell to do. Tell the people in Washington, you guys can't go to Idaho. Tell the people in Idaho, you can't go to Washington. I don't care, man. If the stores in Washington are closed and they're open in Idaho, that's capitalism, folks. That's panic buying isn't good anywhere, but if people if retailers would not feed into this fear, and if retailers would limit purchases of kind of necessity items, so each household could only get so many, we wouldn't be having these intense problems. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you guys think you're gonna freaking get this thing and that it's gonna kill you, you may or may not be correct, but don't be surprised when it does. Don't be surprised when it gets worse, because here's the thing. We feed this system. There's a system here on the plane that feeds off of negative energy. It harnesses all of the fear and hatred and anger and confusion that they can possibly muster up in us, or that we muster up in ourselves. And from there, it gets us under its sway, its influence, and we become the mechanism through which it fulfills its ends. We become the means. And I heard somebody say, I think it was Matt at Quantum of Conscience, that if there is an end, that means we are the means. And if there's an end, the end can't be us, unless it's the final end, which I don't think it is. This is not the second foot dropping. It's not the other shoe dropping. This is some in between. This is them maybe aiming where they're going to plant the other foot on our frickin' heads. But this is not the big end. This is this might be them gauging and ramping up for the gigantic takedown of the proletariat, of the common working man that they're afraid of. But I just don't think it's right about to happen. I want you guys to, be prepared, do whatever you got to do. If you got to wear a mask or something, or if you have to buy a bunch of toilet paper, that's fine. That's fine with me. I just don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to feed this system the fear and guilt control matrix that runs this plane. Make no mistake, there's something here that's bad, it's malevolent, it's harmful to us, and that thing, that entity, that psychic autonomous being, or whatever it is, the conglomeration of all of our fear and hatred and anger, that thing, it has administrative privileges here, but it absolutely needs our consent. It absolutely needs our participation. And I'm pretty sure that we can starve it. So let's, you, me, everybody, why don't we try to do something novel, new, to combat this coronavirus? I put it to you that if enough of us envision this as just a cough 2019, like Jamie Lee at A Plain Truth describes it, or if enough of us see this as panning out and where all these regulations, all of this poppycock BS is done, gone, and over with in, 3 weeks or a month, at that point, I would be surprised if this virus pans out to be the giant sweeping, like horrible change in our willingness to stand up to the government that it appears to be. But if we don't change our perspective, both personally and as a group, I won't be surprised if it ends up just as bad, if not worse, than we're giving it credit for right now. This is clearly a thing. It's not clear on if it's 5G, what kind of thing it is. Viruses haven't been accurately described. I get that. I get that it's not, that this is not exactly what they're telling us, but it's real. It's real. It might be a horrible flu for all I know, a flu and pneumonia combination or something. I think I know people who've had it, and they all survived, and some of them were really sick. But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that it's this serious. I think what is this serious, and probably more serious than the common people are giving it credit for, is the fear, the guilt, the control matrix. It's twisting the towel. It's trying to wring out the last final drops of our humanity. And I just encourage you guys, don't give it to them. Just stay soaked up in grace and love and peace like a sponge. I want to thank Mark Devlin for making these shirts. These are some of my favorite truth shirts ever. I do not consent, and I was never asked. Don't give me the fucking vaccines. Don't tell me the damn earth is a round spinning ball. Don't try to tell me 9/11 was 19 muzzy hijackers and one of them's freaking dropped their damn passport. It flew out the window and didn't get damaged at all. And then there was, there wasn't directed energy weapons or anything. No, fuck you guys. I do not consent. And I was never asked. You didn't ask me if I gave a shit. You didn't ask me if it was okay with me that you're gonna drip down lies through a fucking you know, bad run media, a media run by a group of nefarious characters. And it's not okay. So, guys, get one of these shirts or just write that down somewhere. Declare it to the universe. I do not consent and I was never asked. It's not okay with me. And you might be surprised on how you feel after that. Okay, have a good day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do on a bicycle. And that's my 2 cents. You can spend it how you want.